you got to understand what are the positives, what are the negatives, and I mean, you weigh it out yourself.
Okay, Michelle's other question was, you guys mentioned to spray twice for volunteer corn.
If necessary.
What do you mean by that?
That
Why
means
would you have to do it?
if you have a second flush of volunteer corn. So the point is, we just don't want weeds growing in our field. Really at all.
Well,
so if you're out there spraying early and you see some volunteer corn, spray it. It costs $2 or $3 an acre to treat.
But instead, a lot of guys will wait because they say, well, there's going to be more coming. And they see, oh, here's an ear of corn laying on the ground. There's a few of the kernels that have sprouted. Well, there's going to be more, so I'll just wait till next time so I can kill it all. And yes, we're just saying spray it both times if you need to. It's a big deal. It's worth doing. Okay, this question from Mark. I was at your meeting last week in Waterloo, Iowa. As mentioned, that to use a half rate of fungicide on soybeans at R1 perhaps. Are you coming back at R3 with more fungicide? If so, what rate, and would you use a different product?
A lot of times we're spraying at R2 or R3 with a half rate of fungicide. That's what we're doing. But if you want to use the full rate, you certainly can do that. It's just we're talking about small plants as opposed to the big plants you're going to find at R6. So our data has shown the half rate's been just as good as the full rate at that stage. But also keep in mind, we're in a drier area of the country. So if you have lots of diseases present, if you are wanting more residual, then by all means, go ahead and use the full rate. But yeah, we are spraying typically, if we're doing it one time, we're going at R2 or R3. If we've had a really wet year, like last year, for example, we did spray a bunch of ours twice, and it was planned twice because we saw this cold, wet year for a couple of months, and we said, boy, if fungicide's ever going to pay, this has got to be the year that it will, and sure enough, it did. But in that case, then, we sprayed at R1, and we did come back at R3. That's not a common practice for us, though.
All right, next one. This is more of a comment. This is from Guy, and he said, I really enjoy your show, especially when you're talking about soil health. I have 15 acres of macadamia nuts and taro on Hawaii's islands. But a lot of what you talk about is relevant even to me. You explain it in an understandable way. Thanks for making my viewing more worthwhile. Hey, thanks a lot, Guy. I really appreciate that. Next one comes from John. John is in Los Angeles, California. He said, I'm not an agricultural expert, but I have 3 questions for you. I've been reading about the late spring and how that postponed harvest in 2014. Has that been the case? Yes?
I don't know if I would say that. We ended up getting enough heat units later on in the year, and actually harvest on our farm and in a lot of areas went off about on time.
In some areas, though, guys had a hard time getting in. We did have a frost,
Yes.
an early frost in the fall that kind
Yep.
of sped up harvest for some guys.
Yep.
And they said, does this have any implications on drainage? Do you need more or less drainage?
Well, it really doesn't matter what
Some
one
of it
year
was,
brings.
Some of it was we were too wet, and there were areas where we could improve drainage. Some of it was just
Yeah,
that
but drainage
the
is a
winter
long-term
lasted so
thing.
long.
Drainage is a long-term thing. You got to look at the 50 years. Okay, so in over 50 years, is drainage going to pay or is it not? And yeah, we want to have our soils well drained. So.
And then his last question, is there any particular brand of pipe you would recommend based on durability, price, quality, etc.? I don't know if there's a huge differentiation. It doesn't seem like there's a lot of marketing around what the differentiating factors are from one pipe to the next, as far as drain tile pipe.
No, but you can just examine it a little bit yourself. And yeah, I mean, we do get worried sometimes. There are a lot of splices, things get brittle, all that kind of thing. So I don't know. You find a manufacturer that you like, and usually guys are just sticking with that one that they like.
All right, well, thanks for all those questions today. And, of course, you can send your questions in at radio@agphd.com. I'd like to say thanks to our production staff, thanks to our Back 40 agronomists, and thanks to everyone who sent in the questions.
And we'll be in Huron, South Dakota tomorrow, Carbondale Wednesday, and Williston and Bismarck, North Dakota on Thursday.
And be sure to join us again each weekday for more AgPh-d Radio.
Hi, everybody. This is Steve Kenyon from Rural Radio, Sirius XM Channel 80's